Imagine this. You board a long-haul flight with over 200 other people. You settle in, maybe watch a movie, drift off to sleep. Everything feels perfectly normal. The plane takes off, cruises at 35,000 feet, and hours later lands smoothly at its destination. But when the doors open and everyone starts to deplane, one person is missing. Not just unaccounted for, but completely gone. This isn't the plot of a thriller movie. This is a real aviation mystery that left investigators completely stumped. The flight was an international trip, just like thousands of others every day. The takeoff was routine, the skies were clear, and the flight attendants reported nothing out of the ordinary. Passengers were eating their meals, sleeping, and just passing the time. It was the definition of an uneventful flight. But on the ground, the routine fell apart. When the final head count was done, it didn't match the manifest. One passenger who had boarded the plane simply never got off. The crew's initial thought was a simple mix-up. Maybe the person had switched seats, or was still in one of the restrooms. They conducted a thorough search of the entire cabin, from the cockpit to the tail. Nothing. The seat where the passenger was supposed to be was empty. Their carry-on luggage was gone too. Things got even stranger at baggage claim. The checked luggage belonging to this passenger never appeared on the carousel. It was as if the person and all their belongings had been erased from existence mid-flight. Investigators immediately pulled the airport security footage. And there it was, clear as day, the passenger boarding the plane. Their ticket was scanned, their passport was checked and verified. They were officially on that flight. Yet there was absolutely no record of them ever leaving the aircraft. Think about it. A modern airplane is essentially a sealed metal tube. The doors are pressurized and impossible to open in the air. The emergency exits are monitored, and any attempt to tamper with them would have triggered immediate alarms in the cockpit, forcing an emergency landing. There were no distress calls, no signs of a struggle, no commotion reported by anyone on board. So the question that baffled everyone was, how does a person just vanish from a locked room, flying miles above the earth? The investigation went deep. The crew was questioned for hours. Every single passenger was interviewed. The plane itself was taken apart and inspected by aviation engineers, looking for any hidden compartments or structural anomalies. They found nothing. It was a standard commercial aircraft, with no secret hatches or escape routes. The flight data recorder, the black box, showed a perfectly normal flight profile from start to finish. Theories began to fly, each one more incredible than the last. One line of thinking was that the passenger might have found a way into a restricted area of the plane. These are spaces like the avionics bay or cargo hold, places most people do and even know exist and are certainly not accessible from the passenger cabin during flight. But even if they did, how did they get there without anyone noticing? And more importantly, how did they get out of the plane? Another theory suggested a case of a meticulously planned false identity. Perhaps the person who boarded was not who their documents claimed they were. Maybe their entire goal was to disappear, and this was their elaborate exit strategy. They could have had an accomplice on the crew or among the ground staff. But again, this would require an incredible level of planning and coordination, leaving absolutely no trace behind. It seemed almost impossible. Then there's the darkest theory of all, the one that whispers about something going wrong mid-flight, something so serious that the airline and authorities decided to cover it up to avoid mass panic and a public relations nightmare. Could there have been an accident, a medical emergency, or even something more sinister that was quietly and efficiently cleaned up before the plane landed? While it sounds like a conspiracy, the complete lack of evidence for any other scenario makes even this far-fetched idea seem plausible to some. To this day, no body was ever found. No official explanation was ever confirmed. Eventually, with no leads and no evidence, the case went cold. The flight was cleared, the crew was released from suspicion, and the story slowly faded from the news cycle. Life moved on. But for aviation experts and investigators who worked on the case, it remains a chilling anomaly. They admit that while planes are incredibly safe, they are also incredibly complex machines with nooks and crannies that are off limits for a reason. There are places on an aircraft where people are not meant to be. And the unsettling thought remains, if someone were to find their way into one of them, they might never come back. So what do you think happened on that flight? Was it a clever escape, a tragic accident that was covered up, or something else entirely? Let me know your theory in the comments below. And if you want to hear more true stories that seem too strange to be real, make sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.